Hello and welcome to this week's F1 Kids podcast with me, your host Daniel, and my dad Phil.
Hello.
Today's podcast is a review of, well, I can't really say the name, so we'll just call it the Grand Prix from Imola.
The Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, I think it is. That's the area of Italy.
Where Imola is.
I think so. As I said that out loud, I lost confidence in that fact, but I think it's true. I think it's true.
So, just a really quick word on qualifying here. So, of course, Hamilton getting pole.
99th career pole. One away from the big 100.
Yep.
I think the big story from qualifying was Perez.
Front row.
I think that was Perez's best qualifying performance ever. And also the first time since 2019.
18, I think it was. Where Verstappen has been
Third time since 2018.
That he's been out-qualified.
So you interrupted me to correct me, but you didn't know I was going to say that afterwards. Which is funny because you normally have the encyclopedic knowledge about stuff like that, don't you?
Yeah. I thought Verstappen would be quite angry about breaking that record.
Yeah, we were joking before the race, weren't we, that Verstappen might get really cross and they'd end up having a bit of a coming together at the beginning of the race. But as it happened, there was nearly a coming together between two other drivers. Hamilton and Verstappen. Not two other drivers, one other driver and Verstappen.
Yeah. Verstappen had a really good start, though.
So I'm just going to interrupt you there, Daniel. Sorry to interrupt your flow, but we're going to go back to doing the three big stories for this race, aren't we?
Yep. So my first story is, the beginning of the race.
Which is what we were already talking about. So
of course, Verstappen having a really good start, and then forcing Hamilton wide, Hamilton trying to overtake him and going off the track and losing some.
Let me ask you a question about that then, Daniel. Do you think that was anything that needed to be investigated or not by the stewards?
Well, kind of. Because I thought Verstappen didn't give Hamilton a car's width or anything, pushing him off the track.
Okay. But they didn't actually come together at all, did they?
Yes, they did. They touched.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Of course, because his front wing was ever so slightly damaged. See, I think it was, even though we're Hamilton fans, I think Lewis should maybe have just backed off and let Verstappen go. I think the net impact was nothing. There was no... Yeah. He didn't lose too much time and didn't get too much damage in the end. So, not the worst thing to have happened to him.
Well,
but then what happened?
Only a few laps later, Latifi spun off in the same place as Leclerc did on the formation lap.
Yeah.
Then when rejoining, Mazepin was driving his race, who got crashed into by Latifi, who went flying into the wall and was out of the race.
His own business, wondering when he was going to have his first spin to keep up his record of spinning in every race, and he got taken out by somebody else instead. So does that count? It didn't really count as a spin for Mazepin, did it?
No, because he kept going.
He kept going straight.
It wasn't his fault in the slightest, though.
But speaking of spinning, who did spin soon after?
Perez.
No.
Oh no,
that was later.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking of later.
Not Michael Schumacher. Mick Schumacher.
His name is still Michael Schumacher.
It is still Michael, yeah.
During the safety car, that Mick Schumacher was trying to warm up his tyres and he kind of spun into the wall, did a bit of a George Russell.
I was going to say that was reminiscent of George Russell from last year, wasn't it?
And he had to do loads. Pit lane was closed due to the front wing. That was on the pit exit, so he had to keep doing loads of laps.
The pit lane was closed because of his accident.
Yeah, and there was
he couldn't go back in.
All the way across the lap, there was still a guy just waving the flag instead of going and picking the front wing up.
Oh yeah, it took them ages, didn't it? I don't know what all that was about. So you just said you thought I was talking about someone else spinning. Yeah. So, but something else did happen to Perez during that safety car period. If you remember, he
went off the track and he thought he could regain those positions, so he just drove straight past them.
That was a bit weird, wasn't it? Because all the drivers know you can't do that. I wonder if he just had like a mental block and thought that he was on the formation lap or something weird because they were all going so slowly. But he literally joined the track, didn't he? And then it overtook. I can't remember off the top of my head who it was. I think it was probably Leclerc and someone else. And he ultimately got a penalty for that later on.
Yeah, that was just probably a slam dunk penalty there.
Yeah, and they probably knew that straight away. So I'd imagine he got a bit of a talking to about that, especially after doing such a good qualifying as well.
Yeah, there's probably another person who got a bit of a talking to. That could have been George Russell.
Yeah, so this is big story number 2, actually.
Middle of the race.
Which is the middle of the race / crashes for Mercedes. So talk us through what happened.
So Hamilton was lapping Bottas, which, wow, lapping your teammate, that is not good for Bottas.
Well, I'll stop you there because he didn't actually manage to lap Bottas in the end.
Okay, he was trying to lap.
It was actually lapping Russell.
Oh.
So, and he got onto the wet inside line, couldn't stop the car, went into the gravel and
crashed into the wall.
Yeah.
Luckily, he did manage to reverse out, losing heaps of time.
Yes.
But what really gave Hamilton really good luck was that his teammate and Russell had a huge crash.
They did have a really big crash. So, yeah, both Mercedes getting damage, one significantly worse than the other.
Yeah.
And Russell being somewhat involved in both of those. Well, obviously it wasn't really Russell's fault when Hamilton came off.
I think it was Russell's fault, though, in the crash between him and Bottas, because Russell kind of went onto the grass and drove into Bottas.
Do you think
and
so?
Crashed Bottas out, and they both went slamming into the wall.
And then,
although Russell clearly thought otherwise, because it looked like he went over to Bottas to give him a bit of a slap.
So you remember what happened in that little exchange? We don't know. Obviously, we don't know what they were saying to each other, do we?
No.
But Bottas. Bottas gave Russell the finger, didn't he? I couldn't think of a more polite way to say that. And then Russell kind of tapped him on the head as if to say, yeah, all right, mate, whatever.
I thought Russell was going to get a bit of a talking to by Toto Wolff for that.
I think he definitely has, because today he's released a formal apology statement for the incident. But it definitely felt to me like he was told he had to make that apology. So, but for me, the real story there, Daniel, is...
Was the red flag?
Well, no. So I'm still talking about the crash itself. But you think that it was Russell hitting Bottas, and a lot of people have been talking about whose fault was it, and so on.
I actually thought maybe it was a racing incident.
Well, I think it is a racing incident, but for me, the real story there is, why was Bottas even having to defend against the Williams? So Bottas was like really 2 seconds slower than Russell in a couple of laps before that. So really, that's the real question here, is why was Bottas so off the pace? So I'm guessing he probably also had a bit of a talking to from Toto
for being so slow.
Evening. Yeah, maybe. So that safety car led to a red flag,
which really benefited Hamilton as he got to unlap himself.
Along with about, quite a lot of the field, actually. Probably about half the field at that point, wasn't it?
So, which allowed him to be able to overtake the people in front of him, have a bigger chance of getting more points.
Okay, that's true. So that leads us on to your third story, which is Hamilton's fight back. So, if memory serves correct,
I think he was ninth, and he went second.
He was ninth, but then he was eighth very quickly, because you'll have to correct me on this.
I think it was Stroll.
Was it Stroll? It was certainly somebody ran off the track. Or was it?
Oh,
Tsunoda.
It was Tsunoda. Yeah,
Tsunoda
so
had a
Tsunoda's taking over Mazepin's role in spinning off the track.
Yeah. Another rookie.
I think that was during the safety car as well.
No, it was just after the safety car.
I think
it was just after the safety car.
Oh.
For definite. So Hamilton was up to eighth in like a quarter of a lap. And what happened then?
He started overtaking everybody until, I think it was Sainz, where he was really struggling to get within 1 second. But as soon as he managed to get the...
I think Sainz was only a couple of laps, but then it was Leclerc that he was struggling, because Leclerc was picking up DRS
from Norris.
From Norris, yeah, that's right.
But eventually when Leclerc slowed down a bit...
As soon as he dropped out that DRS, Hamilton was straight past, wasn't he?
And then after another few laps, as Norris was on softs, which were getting old and not working as well, Hamilton was able to just sail past him with DRS.
So he was up into second, which is where we thought he might be able to get up to, because he had enough pace. And what was the other thing? Do you remember what happened after he'd overtaken Norris?
He went for the fastest lap.
Well, both him and Verstappen went for the fastest lap.
But Verstappen wasn't fast enough.
But Hamilton got it in the end, yep. Okay, so it was a pretty eventful race, wasn't it? I wonder if it would have been as eventful if there hadn't been rain just beforehand. Probably not.
No. So should I go on to my zeros and heroes?
Yeah, let's do your heroes and zeros.
So my hero is Hamilton for gaining all those places at the end.
Okay, so I mean, again, this is your call. This is you're in charge of this. But I'm not sure I would have said Hamilton was the hero of the race.
Would you say Norris?
Well, he started first and crashed and finished second.
But he still crashed. So.
Well, yeah, but that you don't crash and then you don't get the best rating if you've hit the wall whilst overtaking a back marker. So
yeah, but it wasn't his fault. He went onto a wet part of the track.
No, but I still think Norris deserves hero more because he got a podium in the McLaren, and I think he started 7th on the grid. Was it?
Yeah, he was about to start 3rd though.
Yeah, but he had a lap cancelled,
deleted.
So, but anyway, it's your call. So Hamilton is the hero, and then who's the hero team?
Ferrari, because recently, of course, they've been doing absolutely terribly, but they came 4th and 5th, which is good points for them.
Double top 5 finish, so that's really strong for Ferrari, actually, given where they were last year. And then zeros, I think we're probably going to agree on this one.
Perez.
Yeah.
2nd to 12th, not even getting a point. Master of spinning this race.
So he got a penalty, ran off the track, silly mistake. In 2 silly mistakes, that really, running off and then doing the overtakes. And then he spun later on as well.
Spinning all the time, losing places.
So yeah, I think that's kind of an undisputed 0 for me. But then what about your 0 team?
Williams. Bottom 2 in classified.
Right, but I'm going to disagree with you here as well, Danny. But again, it's your choice.
You're going to say Haas?
No, I'm not. So you're saying the Williams should be the 0 team. But actually, how about this? Consider the fact that it was their 2 drivers that crashed. It wasn't team decisions that made that happen, was it? It was Latifi being not very smart, joining the track, and Russell maybe a little rush of blood to the head and trying to get past Bottas and having a big accident. That doesn't feel like the team's fault for me. I tell you who I think should be the 0 team, and you might not even remember this, but I would... it's a tough one, but I would consider AlphaTauri as the 0 team. I'll tell you why. So they put Gasly on the wets,
and
then they didn't pit him at the beginning. After about 6 laps or so, they could have pitted him when it was clear that he was slow, and he lost. At one point, he was 8 seconds slower. He was between 4 and 8 seconds slower than the cars that he should have been racing against, and then he was basically at the back. Because they were trying to not lose time by pitting, but then in 3 laps they lost the whole pit stop by staying on the wrong tyres. So I think that was a really poor strategy call by AlphaTauri. Anyway, Gasly still finished in the points and did all right in the end. But yeah, so okay.
Well, about finishing in points, let's do the finishing order.
Yeah, go on then.
So Verstappen won, Hamilton came 2nd, of course with the fastest lap. Norris 3rd, good podium for him. 4th Leclerc, 5th Sainz, 6th Ricciardo, double points for McLaren.
Good.
7th Stroll, 8th Gasly, 9th Raikkonen, 10th Ocon.
So that's good for Raikkonen and Ocon there to get some points.
So the Drivers' Championship, Hamilton is on 44, Verstappen's on 43. Oh, Hamilton's number, same points. Well, yeah. Norris is on 27, Leclerc's on 20, Bottas is on 14, that's terrible.
16, that is.
Oh, sorry, 16. And Sainz and Ricciardo are both on 14. Perez is on 10. For a Red Bull driver, that's not good.
Yeah.
Stroll's on 7, Gasly's on 4. That was only the top 10 there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think
people have got points.
I think last year we did the top 10, and then there was only a couple more people with points after that. But this time, like I think there's maybe 14 or 16 drivers who've got points currently. So
Mercedes on 60 points.
So leading the Constructors' Championship. What a surprise.
Red Bull on 53. McLaren on 41. Ferrari on 34. AlphaTauri
big drop down there, isn't
Yeah, 7 points.
Mm.
So
that was Alfa Romeo on 7, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Alpha Tauri on 6. I'm confused with all the teams.
It's because everything's AM.
Yeah.
AT, AR. So that's Alfa Romeo on 2.
Oh, I'm really confused.
And then Alpine on 1.
And Haas and Williams on 0.
Yeah.
I really thought Williams were going to get a point. It seems like every time Russell's in the points, he crashes.
Except when he's driving a Mercedes.
Yeah.
He got a puncture that time.
Mm-hmm.
Real shame that for Williams. That was real points chance that went begging.
Wow.
So, predictions then.
Well, I'm especially happy about the predictions.
Why are you so happy?
Because I got them both right.
You got them both right. And
I got incredibly right, you got incredibly wrong.
I spectacularly failed. And I told you, didn't I? Last week, as soon as I said Bottas, the second I said Bottas to win the race, I knew that was a mistake. I genuinely thought Verstappen was going to be pole.
No, he wasn't, though.
So that's a +2 for you and a +0 for me. So I'm on 1, and you've taken a big lead there onto 3. So next up in 2 weeks' time is Portugal. So back to Portimao.
Yeah, I like that
which was
race.
a really good race last year. So who do you think's going to...
Well, based on the results last time, I'm going for 2 kilos of ham.
Okay, so ham. Okay, I am going to go completely different to you.
Verver.
And I'm going to go Verver.
Oh.
I've got a feeling that one of us is going to get 2 points next time out.
Or one of us can get one if Verstappen gets pole and Hamilton wins, or...
Yeah, or the other way around.
Yeah.
Or maybe Bottas gets pole and wins the race.
Or Norris gets pole and wins the race.
That'd be amazing. I think Norris did quite well there last year.
Yeah.
Good track. Really looking forward to that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
I think that's all we've got time for today.
It is.
Yeah, so it's bye from me.
And it's bye from me.